The 1980s were a wild time for cars, and nothing explains that more than cars like this. And that's because this is a 1980 Porsche 911 Turbo converted by Rinspeed.
Rinspeed was founded by Frank Rinderknecht at the end of the 70s, initially creating conversions for handicapped drivers, but it didn't take long for the Swiss company to embrace its wilder side. At the 1979 Geneva Motor Show, Rinspeed would unveil the Golf Turbo, an audacious turbocharged version of the iconic hatchback nearly 20 years before Volkswagen would introduce their own Turbo GTI. 2 years later, in 1981, Rinspeed would return to Geneva with the Ali Porta, a Gullwing creation that could rival even the DeLorean's theatrics. But the real fun would begin in 1983, when Rinspeed introduced the 939 Targa. Borrowing design cues from the Porsche 928, including its headlights and taillights, it broke away from the classic 911 styling that dominated the past 2 decades. In 1985, Rinspeed would reveal the R69 or the 969, a car that generously borrowed from one of the most iconic cars of the decade, the Ferrari Testarossa. It featured a slant-nose front with pop-ups and a spoiler in the front as well, massive Testarossa-style grills along the side, and a squared-off rear using Porsche 944 taillights, with a pretty wild exhaust system that included a screamer pipe. It also featured an additional spoiler and massive air intakes on the rear deck lid, and is finished in the most quintessential 1980s colour of Perlmutt Weiss, or pearl white. But oddly enough, the interior was specced with brown with tartan.
In my head, it feels like that should have been a red leather interior inside the car.
I'm going to be doing a lot more stories on interesting cars like this, so if you don't like old school and classic car stories, then please don't follow Retro Garage.